Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome along once again to Mahara Mason, home of Breedy Cricket Club in the northwest of Ireland. We are here for the first day of this festival, third week of the festival, and you'll see on your screen, just getting into their huddle, the Leinster Lightning dressed in blue, and off to the left, the very familiar figures of Ross Adair and Paul Stirling opening the batting for the Northern Knights. So the Knights have won the toss and they have decided to bat, bucking the trend of the last two festivals when it was just the last game where the winning of the toss meant you batted first. So the Knights giving it a go to set a target, and that's how it turned out this morning when the Northwest Warriors batted first. Not through their choice though, but they set up a total which won the game against the Munster Reds. So let's see if that pans out again. We've got a stellar lineup on both sides today. Some interesting team news which we'll get into in a moment. But once again, delighted to have Isabel Joyce beside me. Isabel, looking forward to a really good game today in what looks to be good conditions.
A blockbuster, isn't it? Because Leinster Lightning, they're right at the top, 25 points to them. And Northwest Warriors, they are tied on points with Northern Knights because of that win this morning, 14 points each for them. So it's important for the Northern Knights to try and get a win here and try and put some pressure on the champions. But as you said, just a couple of changes to the teams, one for each team, but a big in for Leinster Lightning, Josh Little into the lineup. And whether he's getting carved around because of the extra pace or he's taking wickets, one way or the other is going to be box office.
Well, it definitely will be. It's a real big game here, I think, particularly for the Northern Knights, given what we saw last week. But here we go. Barry McCarthy to Paul Stirling.
He's been the catalyst, I think, for the Leinster Lightning with ball in hand. Barry McCarthy always comes with such intensity, whatever he does, whether it's leading the warm-up, whether it's leading the bowling attack. He's always entertaining. 1 for 28, 0 for 17 down in Cork. Just played the two games. 4 for 14, 2 for 34 and 2 for 24 in Stormont. So a really good return with 8 wickets in the last festival. He'll be looking to double that up here in Breedy.
That's carved away. Backward of point there. The man up on the ring is that man Josh Little. Forgot to look and see what number he was wearing. We haven't seen him in the festivals. He's got 24 on his back, so at least we know that. But just off the face there from Stirling, and it runs away. And that shortish boundary there for 4. Couldn't agree more. And your comments on Barry McCarthy there. I absolutely love watching him at Interpro level in particular. He just oozes enthusiasm for the game. Really love to see it, and loves taking wickets. And can be a little bit grumpy. I love that too.
Yeah, grumpy looks different on different people. It suits Barry McCarthy very much. He kind of leans into it, doesn't he? The kind of grumpy old grandpa look, always stretching around, lets you know his hamstrings are a little bit tight, that he doesn't want to put the pads on. I'm sure secretly sometimes he's delighted to get an opportunity. Probably not in a chase, maybe in a run set, he'd prefer that. But the other bowler that's really impressed us, I mean, the Leinster Lightning's bowling attack has been really good, but Matt Hollard, he's in front of us here. He's just got something a little bit extra about him.
Yep, can't agree with that. Matt Hollard's had a lot of chat in these last 2 weeks again. Keep referencing it. The fact that this tournament is back-to-back, you can do that. Performances rack up if you keep doing it, and he's definitely taken the eye of 1 or 2 in Cork and indeed Belfast, so he'll be looking to follow that up.
Preferred to Ruben Wilson today, who I might feel a little bit unlucky to miss out. He really had his best performance in the last game against the same opposition.
A little bit extra bounce there from McCarthy. Yeah, and also, whisper it quietly, second time I've mentioned it today, but a couple of wickets at the weekend against Pembroke for Clontarf. Fairly decent sort of couple of wickets that he picked up, so
it's been a sharp incline, hasn't it? The work rate for Reuben Wilson with ball in hand. He's
for
hit
sure.
the ground running. He's come into the cricket season right when it's at its busiest. 2 for 14 from just 2 overs last time out against the Northern Knights. But yeah, he looks like he's hitting his straps at the right time. He goes the way of Andy Balbirnie earlier. Paul Sterling trying something a little bit funky after just one boundary earlier on, looking to ramp it, takes the glove, doesn't even bother to look back at umpire Johnny Kennedy. Big wicket, and we're going to say that a lot, but the big wicket of Paul Sterling goes in the first over. He goes for 4. Northern Knights lose an early one, 4 for 1.
Yeah, a little bit frustrated there. He's tried something a little bit different. As you say, it's not something we normally associate with the opener. He just got inside that a little bit too much, and look, maybe consider himself a little bit unlucky. It's gone straight to the keeper, but that's the risk you take with that particular shot. And straight through to Lorcan Tucker. Easy take for him, and as you say, didn't even look up. Kind of just walked off and accepted the fate.
Yeah, well, I mean, you have to premeditate that as a shot, but if there's a delivery you don't want to play that shot, it's probably that exact one, because the length makes it really hard. What you want is either a full ball that you can get your bat underneath and it just cannons off, or maybe even a shorter one, so you either miss it or you follow it round. You know what I mean? That kind of good length can be really hard, especially if you're not playing it all the time.
Yeah.
So, you know, you do need the luck to go your way in those situations because you are premeditating, and also the line made it difficult. He was having to move away to the offside. Nothing going for it, really.
No, not really. There is Matt Hollard, we've just discussed. Yeah, I'm going to throw a wee bit of a commentary thing then that I notice with that particular shot. The number of times when somebody goes down to play that shot and it goes for 4, and the commentator will say the perfect ball for it, absolutely perfect, but we don't say that when it actually goes the other way. We don't say that was the wrong ball for it, you know. So we can't have it both ways, really.
I suppose when you say it the other way, the perfect ball for it, you're saying, aren't they lucky they got the exact
a little
ball
bit.
they're
Yeah, a
looking
little
for.
bit. Yeah.
But yeah, I take your point. Fade away. Oh, it doesn't quite go to Seamus Lynch in the deep. And the other thing to note is that usually one of the reasons why it's the perfect ball for it is because the batters read the situation, either the field or, you know, plan. And so I think maybe Paul Sterling thought, as we know, Brian McCarthy likes to get a wicket early on. He does tend to throw the full straight one in there at some stage. He hadn't done it up until that point, so Paul Sterling thought, okay, it's going to come this ball. And, you know, whether that was true or not, if it was the reason he went down, he read it wrong.
Yeah, he has been targeting the stumps quite a bit in his opening spells, so maybe you're right. Carmichael on strike. We'll get a nice sider from Hollard there.
I don't think his run-up is going right here, Matt Hollard. He runs in from really quite far back. Can't understand how someone can sprint in that much just to bowl, but
he's pretty energetic, yeah.
His last couple of steps before he releases the ball aren't looking fluent. There's a little kind of skip step that he's had each of the balls so far. Keep a close eye right when he passes the umpire. That was better, much better. He got it right on that occasion. So the more steps you add to your run-up, the more that can go wrong.
Yeah. He's ball off a couple. He hasn't pressed though. Hollard, as I say, played that first game when the Irish internationals weren't available for the Lightning. They've come back, but Hollard has kept his place.
Yeah, once again, the step's not looking right in the run-up. Too far down leg side. Good length for just a clip off the ribs for Ross. No, it's not Ross Adair. It's Cade Carmichael.
Yep.
Nice and still.
Catches up with it. Yeah, stillness is a really good point. Nice and balanced when he played the shot. Knows he just needs to get a decent bit of wood on it. And it'll go for 4 with the man up in the circle. So he gets off the mark. A boundary.
Interesting that David Delaney retained his spot and Reuben Wilson didn't. Delaney only bowled 1 over last time out. He does obviously add with the bat, but quite far down the order. And maybe the Reuben Wilson being left out is more to do with managing workloads, because as I said, he's come back and wasn't doing a lot of bowling because of exams. Would have had a big weekend playing 2 50-over games in a row, so an extra day recovery might be important for him. Oh, he's going to be frustrated there, Cade Carmichael. That was a bit of a gift. It could have been, but didn't go through the field. 1 boundary, a dot. Sorry, 1 boundary, 1 wide, and a single makes it 6 from the over. 10 for 1 after 2.
Yeah, you may have picked up on the mic there a bit of a no, and I'm not 100% sure if that came from Hollard because of the ball. It's a full toss.
No, it's
Carmichael.
100% Carmichael. It had a bit of a South African sound to it.
They're both South Africans.
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah. Just the type of the timing of the no. Cade Carmichael just caught it on the inside half of the toe.
So Ross Adair now down at this end, came into a little bit of form on Sunday for his club side Lisburn in that RI Senior Cup as they got through to the semi-finals.
So he looked like he was smashing it to all parts.
Yeah, I think he was 85 off 48 balls, I think.
Oh, this could be out. It is. Nothing going right in the Interpros series for Ross Adair. Off the hips from Barry McCarthy's misaligned ball. Matt Hollard timed the jump perfectly, and a couple of early wickets. Both the openers now back in the clubhouse. That's a familiar sight. 10 for 2. Ross Adair goes for 1 from 3. And the Northern Knights in pursuit of a way back into this competition. They haven't started strongly.
Well, not really sure what the metaphor is. It rain, it pours, or something like that. Really, just for Ross Adair, he's just managing to pick out every single fielder. It seems he's hit a couple of nice shots last week as well, and Cork, and picked out fielders. And that's exactly what he's done there. Not sure there's too many spots that would go to the hand, and that was exactly it. Good work from Hollard, as you say. Timed that little jump because that was coming at quite a pace. He got a clean hand to it. And 2 down already. Just 10 on the board. And the 2 familiar rebuilders for the Knights, Carmichael and Topping, already in the 3rd over.
Those are the exact ones, if you're in form, go through the hands, because that was travelling.
Yeah.
That was travelling. And at 45, you're not expecting a catch usually. Might be a good thing that it was Matt Hollard, because he's just bowled, so he's really he's in the game. His head is laser focused. If you're going well, though, that goes through the hands. When it's not your day, it's grabbed onto. You've already had one Topping today, exactly like that. That one went through. Maybe it's going to be Morgan Topping's day, because that one scooted past Matt Hollard. He's gone from hero to 0 in the field. Barry McCarthy won't be too unhappy. Took the catch last ball, but missed a straightforward one here.
I was just about to say that I would love to have a chat with Ross Adair right now about how he's feeling. I think I'll maybe give that a pass now, because if he's just watched that ball clipped off the legs and it just runs through Matt Hollard for 4, ball before, he plucks one out of the air. So how's your luck, Ross Adair, right now?
Well, I'm hoping Ross Adair is in the change room and he didn't see that.
Possibly.
For his own sanity.
I think there might be 1 or 2 mentioning it.
You don't take Barry McCarthy's right boot on there. We've seen he's very effective at kicking it onto the stumps. And there are lots of bowlers you could take on in that situation, but albeit it was probably to the wrong side, his left boot would have probably been employed, but still.
Yeah, I think the right decision. Again, 2 down for the Knights, as we've talked about. Really wanted to impose themselves on the game. Already 2 main protagonists back in the hut.
And
that's going to be another. Well, you can see a little bit of fortune going with the Lightning because the ball is going to hand. But the old adage, talk to kids, if you don't hit the ball in the air, you can't get out. Just flashed off Morgan Topping's blade there. And we could see it straight away that was heading towards Josh Little. He's in the action, as is Barry McCarthy. 3rd wicket.
Well, I think this might be good field placement, to be honest. Pushed at that one. It's almost like a fly slip. Have the slip in place, but that 3rd man is quite fine and quite tight off the ring as well. So a 3rd wicket goes down, not just in the power play, but in the first 3 overs too in this one. 3 dangerous batsmen back in the clubhouse, and Ross Adair, Paul Stirling, Morgan Topping. Morgan Topping might have thought, maybe it's my day, as he saw that one go past Matt Hollard in fine leg, but no, he's picked out the fielder on the other side, almost in the identical position. Neil Rock is the man who's come back into the team for the Northern Knights. He replaces Carson McCullough, James McCullough, the other man in the squad to miss out. So it would be a timely time for him to get in the runs in this competition.
Like right back into the heat of battle here. Missed out last week, but he might have hoped he would get a good 10-12 overs at the minimum to have a look at this. Not the case. Barry McCarthy's on it again, not conceding runs and taking wickets. 3 for 8. Neil Rock has a look at that one, going outside the off. 3 for 8 for McCarthy. All the talk about Josh Little coming back into the squad. First time in a couple of years, but it's the man that's been doing it for the last, plenty of years for the Lightning. And 3 wickets already for big Barry McCarthy.
Second slip comes in. Leinster Lightning sensing an opportunity. Bit of a waft to finish things out. Double wicket over that from McCarthy. And after 3, Northern Knights in all sorts of trouble. 14 for 3. Good news for them. They've seen how it could be done in the first game. When,
indeed.
Well, Northwest Warriors, of course, they did manage to have a few more runs on the board, but look at that. 3 early wickets and 2 men on not too many equals 14.
And you see it on the right, not too many balls faced either. That tells you we've only had a few overs, even though 3 wickets down already. We haven't had many overs. There's a sight for Irish cricket fans. Josh Little in the Leinster Lightning outfit. He's going to come on and replace Matt Hollard. Kate Carmichael set to face. Nice shot from Carmichael, but doesn't get him any runs. Kind of that wicket of Topping bust my stat, is he?
What was your stat?
Well, Northern Knights have lost 2 wickets in every game bar 1. In the power play. Yeah, in the power play. 2 wickets in every game.
Is the bar 1 today, or that's a different one?
No, that's a different one. The last game, 3 down.
Against Leinster Lightning. Yeah. So the trend is 2 down in every game against Munster Reds and the Northwest Warriors, and more than that against Leinster Lightning.
it's not a good stat to have. We talked about, you know, losing 2 wickets. If you're not getting through the power play, you're losing at least 2 in the opening 6. And it can get worse like it has done today. 3 down. Not a side you want to get behind the 8 ball. The Leinster Lightning.
No, you don't want to give them that early sniff, do you? Great to see Josh Little back in the blue. He's a very distinctive figure, very distinctive action, but even just as he walks back, you can't miss him. You can't mistake him for anyone else.
Not really.
It's amazing. He doesn't look anything like his sisters, does he? Lulu and Hannah, who've both played for Ireland, both blonde, tall. Alex calls a catcher, but it far too straight for that. The man in the deep, Seamus Lynch. 2 square, and it did go all the way, and that's what happens when you got the extra pace of Josh Little. If you can hang on to it, if you can latch onto it, you can send it even further.
Yep, full outside, you know, stomping. Carmichael throws the hands at it, just goes over the boundary for 6, much needed.
Well, key to that was he didn't just let the pace on the ball do the work. He actually went right through it with the shot so that it went forward to that fielder in the deep. And again, it will be 2 more. He's looking for some swing here that's not on offer.
Yeah, we haven't seen much of that swing. We've seen a little bit of pace in the pitch, but not a little bit of nip off the seam maybe, but certainly no swing from the hand so far.
Much better line, much better. And you can see the extra pace and the way that ball has come off the bat. Probably aiming towards mid-on there, Cade Carmichael, but goes squarer to mid-wicket where Hollard's waiting.
Yeah, there'll be a lot watching Little here. Obviously pulled up on that ODI against the West Indies and sort of cut short his opening spell with Middlesex. He's had a couple of games with them. Down the ground, but Tector will get across. Save the boundary, only a single off the last ball. 10 from the Little over, and after 4 overs, Lightning on top. Knights 24 for 3.
Not the worst start from Josh Little, but I think it'd be great if we could have seen him get some swing. Always sets him apart at the top if he can get that swing, but if there's none around, then he's got to find a way to challenge the batters. Straightened up the line there, which is good to see. Barry McCarthy, I don't think you could get the ball out of his hands now if you tried.
Exactly the words I was just going to say. We're not getting the ball out of his hand. 3 for 8 at the moment.
Well, Carmichael looking more comfortable than the other batters, but he hasn't faced... Has he faced any of Barry McCarthy?
Don't think so. Trademark run through there from McCarthy. Likes to get a good 15, 16 yards down the wicket when he bowls. Good little shot there with batter and bowler on the screen. There's your luck, Ross, there once more. Very similar sort of shot there from Carmichael. And that one goes yard to Hollard's right and flashes away for a boundary for Carmichael.
Yeah, evasive action, and I think for a second you could see it just there. He hung on before he ran, thinking, "Have I picked out Matt Hollard?" Who turned around, looked at us with a wry smile, and he said, "I thought I was getting another one there." Not to be, surely you can't get 2 catches there and one in short third as well in the same spell. Oh, look out! LBW being called for there. I reckon maybe too high. He's going inside the line here. Okay, Carmichael, and playing with fire.
He did move some way across to the offside. See it again here now. Just watch his movement here. That back foot steps across. Yeah, could be height, could be right there.
I reckon it could be missing down leg, but it's definitely missing for height, so that's helping Johnny Kennedy there. I'm sure he's got a length in mind where he thinks that's going to be too short to be actually hitting the stumps.
That's a lovely shot. Well, that's been one of the best shots we've seen today. Carmichael overpitched from McCarthy. We haven't seen much of that. And Carmichael's good enough not to be hanging back. He's good enough to get on the front foot and hit it through the covers.
Yeah, searching for the 4th wicket. A little bit greedy from Barry McCarthy. He says, okay, if it's bouncing over at that length, I'll bowl it fuller. Went too far and Carmichael was ready to pounce. Well, everyone else is struggling. He's moved to 21 from 14.
Come back. The big fast bowler. As I said earlier, there's a little bit of zip in the pitch here.
Do you know, I was just thinking, because that last catch, or the one that didn't go to hand for Hollard, came very close to us. I'm just getting myself ready to jump out of the way because it's so muddy here in the tent. The chair is stuck in the mud, and I can just see myself catapulting off the chair and making a fool of myself. So just maybe you should do the same, Ali. Get yourself ready to move.
Get ready to move. Maybe we hope Pollard can just stop the ball, catch it. Because it's been pretty full on in that area. Clipped into the leg side by Carmichael. Be another boundary for him. And he's the only one that so far for the Knights is stepping up to the plate. Bit of a freebie though from McCarthy.
Yeah, too full. And once more, 3rd over for a bowler in the power play, proving costly. Only over pitched by a small amount, but he's done it against the man who's looking like he's picking up where he left off last week. It's been a good touch across the whole competition. 25 out of 36. He's faced just above half the deliveries so far. Matt Hollard will replace Josh Little. Maybe Barry McCarthy thinking he should have bowled the 5th over rather than the 6th. 2 slips still in for Neil Rock. He's still 0 from 2, so Leinster Lightning sniffing a 4th in the power play.
Yeah, start of the cricket season. As I talked about a few times, the weather was good, pitches were good. Neil Rock was bang in form. His club side, he started the season with 176, I think, in a T20 game. It was crashing all round the grounds in the Northern Cricket Union. And then a couple of scores in the IP20, but just of late, he'd love a score today.
It can be funny as well in T20 if you're batting at 5 and 6, and then a few games you don't really get a bat. You go early in one game. It can be hard to get into rhythm, and you're tending to come out when your team's in trouble. Then he obviously missed out in Stormont and back trying to get into some form again.
off the mark there. Back for a couple. Yeah, I think you're bang right with the festival in Cork. Didn't really get a go in the first game, and then second game got an early one. And it just built very quickly in T20, the randomness of it.
Yeah.
You know, you can just get a couple of innings, but he's back in the side today and gets off the mark there, just with the side here. Situation that they're in.
I reckon 5 might be the most difficult position to bat in T20, because you're often sitting for a long time watching as the top 4 have a great time, and then the next game you might be out super early and your team's in big trouble. So you have to be ready to adapt to any situation. You're kind of the utility player. You have to fit all molds. At least when you're 6, 7, 8, you're usually expected to be a bit of a hitter as well. Even though you might have to be in early sometimes, not as often. That'll be a dead ball. I don't know the last time I saw something like that happen once in a game, let alone twice.
Twice today, yep. Happened earlier on. David O'Sullivan was running through and just dropped the ball. So we're closing in on that power play score, 42, that we talked about last week, 38 for 3. Again, wickets in the first 6.
He'll be frustrated to have picked out the fielder there. Neil Rock. So much space between Harry Tector at mid-on and De Freitas at 45, and he managed to hit it to one of the 2.
Yep, that's what we've talked about right throughout these 6 overs. Picking fielders often when the ball's been in the air. 3 wickets all caught. Oh, it's a glorious shot. That is a glorious shot from Neil Rock. That is pinged off the bat. He's just placed that through the covers. Really nice finish to the power play. Guess what? 42. Bang on. Bang on par
There's
score.
a reason why it's a par. Finally uses the pace, just stays leg side of it. Great hands from Neil Rock. That's something that is a real strength of his, and he'll be hoping to go on, joined by Carmichael, who's in form. And the end of the power play, 42 for 3, as you called it, Ali McCalmon.
42 for 3. That's it. Bang on. Possibly 1 wicket too many for the Knights to be happy with that. Just picked up a little bit, similar to this morning. The last 2 overs of the power play has increased the run rate, but as we've said, 3 wickets. There's your home field umpire, Johnny Kennedy. Really black is at square leg, and Isabella's taken a much earned break. She's been on all day, so I'm delighted to have Dave Surra with me. Dave, welcome back again.
Pleasure to be on, Ali.
Yeah, good start for the Lightning. David Delaney to take up the ball. Full and hit through the covers again by Carmichael. And it's beat McCarthy. It's going to run for another boundary. So it's starting to pick the run rate up a little bit. But a good start for the Lightning.
Tricky start there for Delaney. First delivery. Just races along the turf. Definitely a bit more pace now. It's been dried out with the sun baking down. Absolutely lovely conditions for cricket. If anyone's in the area thinking of rocking up.
Yeah, most definitely. Towards the end of the working day. And we're hopeful of a really good game here between these two. The Lightning have started well. Barry McCarthy with 3 wickets, but plenty of batting in the Knights lineup. So from their point of view, they'll be hoping to do exactly what the Warriors did earlier.
Yeah, an incredible start from the Lightning. Just losing to 3 wickets, you'd hope maybe that wasn't the game. If you'd lost 4 or 5, could be difficult to come back, but come back here from the Knights. Sails over the inner ring. It's just 1 bounce, I believe.
Yeah, there's 2 lovely shots from Neil Rock. One off the last ball of McCarthy's. over.
Does that lovely shot from the other end from Rock. So you can just sense here he's gotten into a bit of rhythm, hitting them very well. Feet and hands working well together.
Yeah, apologies, that was Hollart's over, of course, but he's now backed that up in this over with the boundary, and already 2 balls off. Delaney's opening 3 balls.
Scamper through. I mean, it was almost an impossibly good start if you look at Barry's figures there early on. Just a dream start from Barry, who's been just doing so well with the ball. Just completely on it, getting wickets, not going for many.
Yeah, not a bad combination. He's been bang on it the whole tournament. We've just mentioned it, how he really buys into this. Probably pretty every game he plays, but you know, just the Interpros, it shows a real hunger for it.
Big BM, Barry McCarthy, always up for it.
Carmichael straight up in the air. And Lorcan Tucker takes the catch. Just got himself into position there and had to take an extra little step, but did so. Didn't take the cap off. Was happy enough to go with it. And just as the Knights were starting to rebuild, Carmichael goes for 30.
Yeah, great catch there in the end. Made it look quite easy, but just set himself an extra bit of footwork there at the end. Twinkle toes from Lorcan Tucker.
Yep, just that extra couple of little steps there, just at the end as he was taking the catch. And as I say, just as the Knights were starting to put the foot down a little bit, they've lost Carmichael. And just peg them back again a little bit. That brings Ben Callitz out. Callitz has had a few good returns in terms of scoring quickly. He hasn't really been able to bat for long periods. And this being the 7th over, he's going to have to do that. Somebody's going to have to play the Jake Egan role from this morning. And then have a few back around him. Slip in again.
Ali, what's par? What are you calling it?
Wow. That would be on the assumption that the Knights have 10 wickets. They're not going to use their 10 wickets pretty quickly. So let's go with that. If let's say they're not bowled out, with 4 down after 7, that's a distinct possibility. But if they're not bowled out, I think they're going to need 175 here. I think 175, 180 will give them a shot. But of course then we've got to look at very strong Lightning batting lineup. Certainly right now, if you offered the Knights 175, I think you'd be missing a hand.
I heard you'd called the power play fairly accurately.
Yeah.
Before I came on. Ali Nostradamus over here.
Take it easy, Dave. Take it easy. Not often get things right, so it's a bit patronising to let people know when I do.
Yeah, I was doing a bit of surveying before, going around the ground asking the umpires, anyone who talked to me, what's par? Maybe somewhere between 160, 170. Some people more comfortable at 190.
Yeah, I think 190 would be a usual score here at Brady. I just think there's a little bit of zip in the pitch here today. Piece of fielding from McCarthy. Safely home though, Callitz. It'll be interesting to see what way Joe Still goes about this, because as we've talked about early on, he'll look for a little bit of swing, but it's been apparent today there hasn't been a great deal. Conditions overhead, it's quite bright. Doesn't appear to have been much swing today, so he's going to go back to length stuff maybe. Yeah,
that was interesting. Just chatting to Jake Egan at the end of the previous game. You mentioned length being quite tricky for him. Just a slight two-pace nature in the wicket. If it was anything fuller, he felt he could attack it, but just had to be careful. Show intent, but being careful was how he felt he should go about it, especially with length. So it'll be interesting to see from Josh Little.
Yeah, interesting that Jake said that in commentary. We were sort of talking about him being a predominantly back foot player. Sort of coming from Australia, born in Australia, obviously with quicker pitches, bouncier. Maybe has sort of learned his cricket to play off the back foot, whereas here, that slower surface, you sort of play on the front foot a little bit more, but certainly didn't do him any harm today. Whatever way he played, excellent knock from him.
Yep, seems to have the measure of this wicket. It's at the crease for quite a bit of time.
Done from Little. So that would have caused McCarthy a bit of an issue there to get across. So all these little things add up. That could have been a boundary to release a wee bit of pressure. Instead, it's a dot.
Good start here. Just the 2 deliveries remaining. Scamper through. Bit of bargee. Not quite sure what that was exactly. A little bit of chat in the middle. A little talking to the umpire.
Love it. Absolutely love it.
I knew you'd say that, Ali.
Absolutely love it. Let's get more of that.
Starting here, folks.
Yep. That's what we want to see. Good bit of bumping and shoulder to shoulder.
Yeah, it would be great to see a little bit of that.
Let's get back on Little and Collets here.
Keep an eye.
Just keep an eye on them. Fortunately, that's the end of the over.
Ding ding. Umpire just standing in the way there.
Yeah, good stuff though. Let's go back to the actual over itself from Little. We talked about him not having any swing there, so we went back to length. Just bowled that traditional sort of length. It's good pace. Only singles from the over.
Yeah, just being a bit more patient maybe. It's easy enough for Barry. Barry's just picking up exactly where he left off. Maybe Josh returning, he's coming in a little bit colder.
A decent start though, and certainly for the Lightning going to turn to Harry Tector. Obviously 2 left-handers out in the middle. This is the great strength of the Lightning lineup. Can chop and change depending on particular matchup. We've seen either Tector or Dockrell. It hasn't really been both of them today. With 2 left-handers out there. The off spinner, right armour. They're going to go up for that. Giving us away. Who's got the longer arms?
Reaching in for a hug. Yeah, they have those options. It's fantastic really for the Lightning. Spinning at either side of the batter, right-hander or left-hander. Coming down again, I think.
Interesting to see the call here. Come off a little bit of the pad, so won't be a wide this time.
Yeah, that option of spinning it away with the 2-finger spinners, but it can really be who's bowling well on the day. I feel like that's kind of been it, whether it's George's day or Harry's day, but this is a very good matchup, as you said, Ali.
Yeah, it has just been a case of where particularly Lorcan Tucker wants to go. Maybe matchup certainly comes into it, the left right, but as you say, one day might be Dockrell, the other Tector. It's Harry Tector at the moment, coming around the wicket to the left-handers. As you can see, slip and play, so still attacking the Lightning. One of their great strengths. Well, would you believe that?
Interesting moment.
Signal 6. They'll change it now as the umpire. Really, that's the easiest catch we've seen.
Yeah, I suspect that was a wicket.
Change it back again now. Yeah, it's gone back to 4.
Yeah,
which I think was the case, because yeah, but that was the easiest catch we've seen today, really. Right down the throat of Josh Little, puts it down. So a life for Neil Rock. Can he make the most of it?
Not much of a wind either. You go through the list of excuses here, Captain. You'd say the sunshine, the wind, any number of things, but maybe not too many you can go to in this scenario.
Yeah, a little bit frustrated there, you can see. Neil Rock got that one width. A little bit of hurling skills there. Pick the ball up. This was the one on the sweep. Down to Little. Just maybe didn't get the feet planted.
No.
I think he really needed to make that little jump.
Yep. Didn't quite get the footwork right. Always seems to come down to that, making the catches look easy. And didn't on that occasion. Made it look quite tricky, actually.
Yep. Yep, so Harry Tector just coming down in front of us here. Disappointed, could have had a wicket there. Delaney switches ends. Skewed off the inside edge by Ben Collins for a single.
Yeah, Delaney a bit expensive in his first over. But gives you that extra pace, of course, to work with. Maybe Little just had his mind on a few things from that previous over. He bowled, him and Collins said a few words to each other.
Yeah, maybe. Well, that's gone. Neil Rock looking to lift that over to the leg side. Another. He just played the wrong line there, possibly. Yeah, seems to have taken the off stump. And another wicket goes again, just as Rock started to get in. He'd had a life in the last over. Can't make the most of it. He's gone for 15.
Yeah, you fancied he was looking quite good here. Hit some lovely boundaries and across, yeah. Won't be good to look at. But a wicket for Delaney.
Yeah, look to play a little bit straighter, possibly that one. And once again, the Leinster Lightning all over the top of the Northern Knights right now. 5 down. Half the side gone already. So maybe he should have looked to play a little bit straighter.
It's hard to say, of course, be from the comfort of the commentary box. That comes off. Hale is a genius. It's often the way in T20 cricket. You take risks, calculated risks, but you look at your best options. And that wasn't one of them, potentially.
Yeah, we talked about that earlier, about minimising risk. Now 63 for 5. We haven't reached the halfway point.
But then that was the fantastic thing, I suppose, of Jake Egan's innings there in our opening game, being able to match that in terms of playing slightly within yourself, but then also taking the risks, taking those opportunities when they're on offer. And doing that so well to post 170, which
yeah,
the Knights would love about now.
Oh, right now I think, yeah, we might revisit that. sort of total that they would accept right now. 64 for 5, as you say, in the 10th. This could be another safest hands on the ground, you would have to say. Do not want to pick out that man in the deep. Thought initially at Ben Callets had got a good piece of it, but he's pretty quick on his feet. It's Harry Tector, and he moves across to his left, and that does not make good reading for the Northern Knights. Callets goes, caught Harry Tector, pulled Delaney for just 4.
Yeah, you always have your key fielders in the key spots. Harry Tector there, long on, running in, and as always makes it look quite easy. Covering that ground, always in the right position. Such an incredible fielder. But yeah, not good for the Knights. We've had that before though, those two wickets in the Barry McCarthy over. 2 wickets here in the Delaney over, so the innings kind of running on those 2 overs. Where a lot seems to happen. A lot has happened.
Yeah, game management, again, not great, you have to say. I was looking at maybe why they've decided to bat first here today. Obviously conditions on the ground would be paramount, of course, but let's wait for this ball. And a flash outside the up stump from the new man Tom Mays. But the other thing, I had a quick look at their performances when sort of in this competition, and you know, they're losing bowled out when they're batting second. Last 3 times they've been bowled out, and they've only faced a total of 39 overs.
Yeah, can definitely weigh in your mind.
So that's maybe why chasing, they thought, let's set a target. But right now, not a big target is in the offing for the Knights. They're just seem to be constantly losing wickets at the minute. Already 10 gone, 64 for 6.
Just chatting to Lorcan there before the toss. He was thinking slightly about batting, but he's happy enough as well to be told by his opposing number. Carmichael with 30 off 19 leading the way. And then Neil Rock 15 off 19, just rebuilding. And it sets the Knights back just a little bit with his departure.
Yeah, not the most appetizing of cards there for the Northern Knights. Do you think wickets have been coming aplenty for most teams in this competition? Even the Lightning and Cork, chasing low totals, were getting home by 3 and 4 wickets. So wickets do seem to have been tumbling for all 4 teams, but certainly the Lightning, since that opening day defeat, have just got stronger and stronger day by day. And the other sides are struggling to keep up now, and it doesn't get any easier because, well, possibly not now, but the leading wicket taker coming into today in the tournament, Gavin Hoy, he's got the ball in hand. Marion Pretorius just faces his second ball. It's coming to the wicket.
Harry Tector out of the attack. He bowled quite well, just missed out on that wicket. The drop by Josh Little.
Yeah, you just sort of think about the Lightning bowling attack. You got all out pace, Little, Hollard, McCarthy at you all the time.
Doesn't let up.
And then you think, okay, well, a bit of spin might come on and give me a bit of respite. And as I say, Gavin Hoy takes the ball. 10 wickets already.
Yeah, it's what you want to see from your wrist spinner in T20 cricket. So reliable. It's Gavin Hoy.
Nice feet from Mays, but talk about Your fielders in the right positions. There he is again. Alright, Tector right on the boundary there.
Skips it in.
Slip in for Pretorius. And once more. Right to Tector.
Yeah, the Leinster Lightning really have built into this. They're kind of getting ahead of steam, moving away from the pack slightly. There's just no respite with this attack. Maybe just a bit slower in the air from Hoey.
6 singles. Pretty consistent that over for both the bowler and the batting side. 6 singles. Takes us to 70 for 6. And
yeah, the Knights definitely back in that rebuild phase they were in earlier.
two guys out there, of course, 2 seam bowlers. So that chat with each other might be, we just got to get some runs on the board here to give us something to bowl at here. So we really just got to dig in here, surely. Try and get us through to maybe 15 overs at least. And reassess again. Delaney looking for another 3 for 12. That's a nice shot. And finally we have a boundary for the Northern Knights. Seems a long time since we've said that. Possibly that drop for Neil Rock.
Yeah, both these players quite good batters as well. They were in Pretorius with runs in Stormont, getting a Player of the Match award.
It's pretty difficult to appeal when you're lying on the deck, face first into the ground. Pretty difficult to actually ask the umpire if that's out.
That was a tough one for the, yeah, you got to feel for the quick lands on the turf straight away. Your Mark Woods, your David the Ladies.
Yep. George Dockwell doing the appealing for Delaney. Either way.
Doubling the appeal there.
Not successful.
Scamper through. Rare mistake from the Leinster Lightning in the field. There was of course that drop, but then almost 2 deliveries later you could just see they're buzzing again. They're buzzing in the field, buzzing in the inner ring, not letting anything away. Yeah, if you fall like that, you're never celeb appealing.
No.
You're never. You just don't have that opportunity. You've never seen Stuart Broad fall.
No. You kind of hope that
Matt
somebody
Humphries.
else will do it for you. Oh, that's unlucky. That's unlucky for Delaney. Takes the inside edge. No chance for Tucker. He gives his bowler a thumbs up. I think David Delaney's bowling with a bit of gas here.
Yeah, definitely. Ruin just gets a little bit on that. Ruin Pretorius. Flicks the bat handle between his hands afterwards.
Two boundaries in the over, but Delaney's bowling quite well here. Sharp. Just be one. Think about 2, but if De Freitas comes in the field, they'll just take the leg by.
I'd say Pretorius definitely felt that pud onto pad, but just with that extra gas that Delaney's got today.
Just wonder if the little chap from Barry McCarthy is. Let's give Tom Mays a bit of a bumper here. the opposite, complete opposite. Goes full. He leaves it. And a low. 12 off that. Decent over again from Delaney. 3 wickets for him. And after 12 overs, the Northern Knights 80 for 6. And thanks to Dave Serra, who popped in there for a little middle stint. Delighted once again. Isabel Joyce back with me, as he have just been sitting outside the tent trying to keep up with what's been happening there, but it's another bit of a sorry tale for the Northern Knights at the moment.
Yeah, just catching up on my notes here, and I feel like any team that's batting doesn't want one of us to go on a break, because that's when things kind of fall apart. That was the same this morning, and then yeah, that double wicket over in the as the 10th over, that has really damaged them. Pretorius, oh my goodness, that's gone at a rate of knots to George Dockrell. Fair play to him for getting in position to catch it, but I'm just glad he managed to come away without a visit to the orthodontist, and it's 4 runs as well.
Well, if George Dockrell comes up with that in his hands, I think the Northern Knights may pack their bags and go home. He's moved to his right, and then wow, actually even to get a hand on that, he's very, very close, and Pretorius has almost hit that as clean as you wanted. As you say, just to get a hand to it was amazing, really.
Yeah, what's amazing, I think, is that like he had his hands in a position and then he moved to the ball. It's not like they just happened to be there.
No, he was definitely
I'd have been
attempting the catch. Yeah, the head would have been on the floor. You'd have been David Delaney on the floor.
You know when you're in short, well, not when you're in short leg, but when you see someone in short leg and there's like a short ball from the spinner, they just cover their heads
spin,
and try and get small.
Yeah,
that's
he did the complete opposite there. Yeah,
that's what you probably should be doing. Truth be told. I'll have to tell Dave that the next time he gives me a break, he has to keep up with my notes as well.
Oh.
He gets the use of them when he's sitting here. So
therefore.
But yeah, it was nice sitting out in the sunshine. Bit of heat in the sun. I'm like a lizard. I like to soak it up and then retain that heat for a few overs, because it's a bit cold in this tent.
Once we come into the tent, it's a little bit different. Yeah, well, we've seen the variations from the Lightning, as I say. Plenty of pace on offer. But got that spin as well. I was going to say spin twins, but of course I haven't used Dockrell yet.
Yeah, now might be the time, because 2 right-handers at the crease. David Delaney seems in a bit of a mood today. Whenever you see he's in that kind of form, you want to make hay while the sun shines, because you never know which version of him's turning up. He seems up and about. I'd say after that win on Sunday, he's letting a few Pembroke lads know about it today. 13 gone, 87 for 6.
Well, you've got him the hook. He's coming off now. By the looks of it, picks up his little marker. Going to be Matt Hollard instead. There's your 6 bowlers used by the skipper. Brian McCarthy up top, 3 for 20. Going to have Hollard back. He opened. Josh Little, good to see him. Not for 13. Hasn't pulled particularly poorly at all. And then 3 wickets for Delaney. 3 for 21. Harry Tector with the single over. And Gavin Hoy there. He's been through 2 for just 13. It's the economy rates as well. Nobody really going at any rate at all. So in comes Hollard again. Misdirected. Possibly gets away with that one a little bit.
Yeah, fine leg out now though, so it's not as dangerous a delivery that when it's a slightly angled down leg. Mid off, mid on, inside the ring. Tom May's particularly strong down the ground. So I like this as a bowling change. Tell Matt Hollard that it's not to get in the full third. Oh, and he does go the full third, and that's
A drop chance.
a drop chance. Yeah, sharp. Sharp. But that is a drop chance, a very tough one.
Yeah, just getting a little stat in here. Almost half of the deliveries have been, more than half in fact, have been dot balls, which really is not the way to go about the T20 innings, especially when you're losing fairly regular wickets. He really's been wanting to graft out those ones and twos that we were talking about last week in particular. There's another full ball, which Tom Mays, you mentioned it, Izzy, he likes it full. That's overly full on the full toss and put away by Tom Mays.
Yeah, inexplicable. I had a feeling about what they would have told him. Presumably not. I think it was a slower ball. Didn't finish it off at all. Tom Mays in position early. But the idea of, yeah, watch out. Deflections going everywhere. The idea of keeping it away from Tom Mays, I don't know if that information has maybe trickled down to Matt Hollard. Josh Little and Barry McCarthy having a quick chat to him. Maybe getting him to change his plans. Yeah, much better. Barry McCarthy has a misfield, just gives away one.
Yeah, what's your thoughts on what we were talking about when Dave was on about the amount of wickets that we're seeing in this tournament? It seems to be quite a lot of weight, as I say. Even the Lightning and a couple of chases were 6-7 down, chasing 130, 140. Just does seem to be quite a lot of wickets falling for all of the teams, really.
Well, I didn't hear you having that chat, but I was actually thinking exactly the same thing. I'm trying to decide what, if it's probably not just one thing. I think the way T20 is, you're expected to attack so much. Maybe there's over-attacking going on. So I think that's definitely one aspect, is people are thinking, right, to win games you've got to get massive scores, but also because, you know, ultimately from this competition you're selecting the senior team. So unless you've got your name on one of those spots, and I'm thinking Lorcan, Tucker, Harry, Tector in that Lightning batting lineup, you feel you have to bat a certain way. And then, you know, credit to the bowlers as well. They've stepped their games up, especially since the Mardyke. I actually think it was great that was first, that festival, because it was so batter friendly. The bowlers had to really come up with really specific plans, had to really work out batters, and it was actually probably too easy for batters. 14 gone, 98 for 6. So in some ways maybe the batters got a little bit lazy. I mean, I'm sure all these comments will frustrate plenty, all and sundry, but you have to wonder, because you're right, there's so many wickets going down. And it's not just one team; it's all the teams.
It's across the four. Yeah, it's, as I say, obviously the Lightning have won their last 5 and been pretty comfortable in all of them with bonus points wins. But at certain periods they have been losing wickets as well. So just something to think about maybe. And I can take your point about playing the way you're meant to play, quick. And sometimes I look at a coach look at somebody who wins a game. Like some of that innings for Megan earlier on. Didn't give it away. Okay, he's not going at a 200 strike rate or any of that. But, you know, if he doesn't bat like that, the Warriors don't win that game.
No, they don't even get close to winning it, I would think. But he still kept on taking the game on.
Sure.
So it wasn't like knock it around for ones and twos. He was scoring boundaries the whole time. So everyone's playing like that. For him it came off today, but we aren't seeing enough of that. I'm seeing more of that though. 100 came up with the previous ball and 6 more added to the total. Ruin Pretorius, he's trying to take the game to Gavin Hoey. That's a huge 6, and I reckon that one's gone.
Well, that's the biggest we've seen today. We saw a few of those a few weeks back from the West Indies. There's a little play park down there, and I was saying when the West Indies were here, some of the kids down there were a little bit of danger money. That's as big a hit as we've seen. Certainly today, that's the biggest.
I'd be putting that yellow kind of danger tape all the way around that play park again.
Definitely.
The West Indies were here. Has to be short. Gavin Hoey against Ruan Pretorius. He's so good on the slog sweep there. Just missed a bit full on the previous ball.
Yep, just don't do it. Don't look up partnerships. I've just looked up what the partnership was. It was starting to get going. And Gavin Hoy pushes one through. Tom Mays again playing off the back foot there. The partnership was 42 between Mays and Pretorius. It's starting to up the ante for the Knights, but good piece of bowling from Gavin Hoy. Gets Mays.
Yeah, perplexing why he didn't come forward when he's so good on the front foot, but decided to go back. Tom Mays gave himself room, tried to get the bat down. I think that was the googly as well, so made extra difficult. And Tom Mays, after looking like he was getting going, goes for 18 from 15 deliveries. I was going to say at the end of the last shot that Gavin Hoy did a good job getting Pretorius off strike, because there's a much better chance of getting Mays out, and it proved correct in the end. Sean Davey, who had a bit of a torrid time last time out against Leinster Lightning, 17 from 26, and never looked comfortable. But that being said, it was on a bit of a sticky wicket. This one looks like more of a batter's track, albeit 7 wickets down for 107. That doesn't seem to bear out, but he'll be hoping he can get going straight away here. Gets a short one to start.
Yeah, he's not in a great position to play that shot earlier. You're right. Just getting Pretorius off the strike. He's just been hit for 6. The ball at Mays. 1 ball left in the 15th. Keep the strike. That was actually what we talked about when you were off air there, is that obviously when Mays came out, going to settle in and try and get some time here and try and get to the 15th and then reassess their total then. Obviously they'd started off with something in mind, but would have had to reassess that pretty quickly with those early wickets. And then, 6 down, then halfway through the innings, it was just after the 10th over, and they had done a pretty decent job, those two. Say it was quick time, 42 off 29, so a decent partnership, but just rocked back again as they were maybe about to flick the switch.
I reckon maybe it pushes back when you start to really attack by one and a half overs. It's not too bad, because Davey is a proper batsman.
Yeah.
And Pretorius is probably, underrated, one of the more dangerous batsmen in the tournament, because he just seems to find a way. Josh Little back into the attack.
Yeah, obviously we talked a lot about the depth in the Knights batting. Probably even more depth today if it was possible, because Neil Rock back in as well for Carson McCulloch, who would predominantly be a left arm spinner. So
it's been fully tested, that batting lineup, and the short ball tested out against Pretorius and duly dispatched. Just sat up nicely. 6 runs, and he doesn't just like going slightly over the boundary rope. He tends to look 15, 20 feet beyond.
Yep, no messing here from Pretorius. Good free swing of the bat. And that's gone out of camera shot. It's a long way, that one, up towards the second pitch here at Breedy.
You gotta check the ball when it comes back from that direction. Plenty of road and buildings, and you might have to get the little scissors out of the umpire's kit. I saw that earlier from Mark Hawthorne. And through. Quicker, fuller, a little bit of shape back. Pretorius goes 6 and out. Josh Little, unperturbed by being dispatched, comes back strong. And Northern Knights, well, a breezy 30 from 20. Really important to give them even something to bowl at. Pretorius, 2 4s, 2 6s, and just undone by a good piece of bowling. 115 for 8 Northern Knights.
Well, there's your first wicket. Back in Leinster Lightning colours for a good few years by Josh Little. Hit for 6 previous ball. That one looks as if it's got an extra couple of Ks on it. Just slips through past the defence of Ruan Pretorius. Josh Little slightly perturbed by that 6, which was hit in front of square. And he decides, well, you're not doing that to me again. Knocks over the poles.
Yeah, you have to be careful when you hit these fast bowlers that you're ready for the follow-up, the ire.
Well, speaking of ire, I'm not sure whether you saw it earlier on, his little tete-a-tete with Collins.
No?
No, a little bump and barge with Ben Collins earlier on.
What was that about?
Well, not 100% sure, but...
When you say not 100% sure, are you absolutely 0% sure? Or do you have
Correct.
an idea? You mean, I have no idea.
I have no idea, but they got together and a little bit of a bump. A few words afterwards. Seems a little bit happier now, does Mr. Little.
He's up and about, isn't he? He's definitely pleased. The chest puffed out after that Pretorius dismissal. I haven't even mentioned who's in. It's Matt Humphreys. He's having to deal with full, straight and fast. So the 6 in the over, and it's been dots other than that, including the wicket.
Yeah, pretty noticeable as well. Lightning plenty of chat amongst the same bowlers. Got the 3 of them sort of in an area here. Mid off is Matt Hollard, mid on is Barry McCarthy. So when the ball comes back to the bowler, they're always having a chat with them. And ends the over. There's your card. As I say, it doesn't make great reading if you're a Northern Knights fan. Wickets early again. 3 in the power play. Carmichael was done by Delaney for 30. He looked as if he was the one that had picked up the pace of the pitch, but continual wickets then, and until Pretorius got a little bit of a shake on there, but Josh Little has ended that little cameo. He's gone for 30, and there's 8 down for 115, and Gavin Hoey's going to bowl out here.
A good field placement. David Delaney quite square there in cover. Knows that Gavin Hoey's going to bowl into the pitch, so he's important to try and squeeze out a few dots. And what I did want to hear is Davey looks to come down the pitch. The steepling catch from Lorcan Tucker. What was said about that? Because I had a good angle. I know you're just behind where I was sitting. It was a really difficult catch, that one. That was Cade Carmichael.
Oh, yeah.
Were the proper kudos given?
Well, put it this way, if you remember our first day, all the way back in Cork, we were talking about that, and remember ex-Ireland keeper Johnny Bush said to knock the cap off, make sure you got plenty of sight of it. I did comment that Lorcan didn't do that, but it was that second little movement that he had to make when the ball just sort of went away from him. was the extra little movement at the end, but it was the balance that he had before that allowed him to move to the side. So yeah, he got himself in a decent position pre-making the catch, and then the extra movement was much easier.
Yeah, there's a brilliant Instagram account called Athletic Fielding. I don't know if you've seen it, but they talk about that, being in a position under high catch so that you can take the last step. You don't want to be moving and then not able to take the extra step if you've misjudged it. So that was perfect from Lorcan Tucker.
What do you mean? What do you mean? Have I seen it?
You run it. You wish.
I'll set them up, you finish them.
Great finish this from Gavin Hoey as well. 2 singles from it. He'd love to close out with a second wicket to his name. It could. No, it's just going to fall safe. Watch the spin, Harry Tector. Yeah, he's all over it.
No problem that. And a pinged throw right over the top of the stumps. Good stuff again from Gavin Hoey. Maybe he hasn't taken the wickets he has done in previous games, but has kept up the pressure. Just 27 coming from his 4. No let up here from the Leinster Lightning. 118 for 8. There's your card. As I say, if you just check out the right hand side there, never mind the wickets, economy rates for everybody. 7's the highest for Matt Hollard, and that's not particularly high for this level of T20 cricket.
No, and if you remember, it was a couple of very unlucky boundaries as well early on in the piece.
Good to see that Josh Little is going to get through his full quota. Going to bowl 4 here. 1 for 19 currently.
Tim Tector, such a specific throwing technique. You'd never miss him. He feels it was close. Couldn't see from side on though, so you never know. Maybe Sean Davey was easily home.
Well, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt now that it's missed. Matthew Humphreys was comfortable. What you would have thought would be the danger end. Good stuff again from Little. Full into the pads.
Yeah, good death bowling. Really specifically changed. Ever since he got carted for that 6, he's gone full, fast and straight.
Yep, not too much. In the middle of the wicket now. May use one as a change-up, but as seems to have decided he can use his pace here.
And he's using it to good effect, a second wicket, as Davey looks to try and get out of the road and get some wood on that ball, but misses, and Little hits. 120 for 9 as Davey goes for 4 from 8. The tail not wagging here for the Northern Knights. It's just a case of trying to take that final wicket. No boundaries, no 6s for Davey.
Yeah, more smiles from the pacer. Josh Little's come back into this side today. Not really with a point to prove, but maybe just to himself. He's come back in here. Seems in good rhythm. And knocks back the leg pull and sends Davey on his way. So 2 for 20.
It's uncomfortable, isn't it, when left arm over, because he's not trying to swing it back in, it's always coming at you, I'd imagine, having never faced him. But
well, that's the thing.
The line that he bowled there pitched outside leg, so you're always thinking it's going to hit. It's literally just going to hit you.
I mean, the level he's played at, he's obviously a quality bowler. We just don't see left arm pace.
It's really hurried.
In this tournament, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the other left armers in the tournament. Can't think of too many off the top of my head, but certainly at this pace, it's a new experience for a lot of batters.
No, there's a dearth of left arm bowlers in general. Well, we've got a lot of left arm spinners in the Northern Knights setup, but none of them choosing to bowl fast. It's the same in the women's game, so good to see Jenny Jackson from up in this area. She's really improved. She's got a casual contract, her first one with Cricket Ireland, and you can really see the fruits of that. I don't know if you caught her bowling in Railway,
Yep.
but really
Yep.
added some consistency. So she's an exciting talent to watch out for. But I think as soon as anyone saw, I remember the first time I saw her in Interpros and she just had an extra yard of pace. And she went for a few runs, but I was like, I definitely mentioned saying to someone up here saying, put some time into her because she's got something. Anyway, Josh Little also has something. It's 2 wickets from his 4, and he closes out his spell very nicely. Really tight stuff at the end there from Josh Little, closing out his 4 overs, 2 for 20. So 2 overs to go for the Northern Knights, and 2 overs for the bowlers. Who's going to get them? Just one for Harry Tector. I don't think we'll see him back. Might be McCarthy and Hollard for me. Sure, McCarthy's probably running and just taking the ball off Lorcan Tucker. I'm looking to take a 4th wicket. It is going to be McCarthy. Who's your final over bowler if McCarthy doesn't manage to get the wicket?
I'm going to go David Delaney. I'm going to throw the ball to Delaney today. I think he's been buzzing about, so that's my little call.
I think Barry McCarthy's jogged up to Lorcan Tucker and said, I don't want it. So George Dockrell's getting his first over.
Nicked one in on me there.
No, no,
I wasn't looking. Never take your eye off the ball. Yeah, so I'm going to go McCarthy then. Yeah.
I think McCarthy's coming off the field.
Yeah. He's just swapping,
No, he's
I think.
practicing.
Yeah.
He doesn't back George Dockrell to take the wicket.
Yeah. I think he's just swapping with Little. But look, a lot of focus will have been on the selection of Josh Little. Obviously, he's over in the UK with Middlesex, so I think just watch this delivery. That'll go to McCarthy. And can he get down? Yes, of course he can. Yeah, so looking at Little, obviously there'll be probably a few column inches written about him today, and I think he'd be pretty pleased with that performance. He bowled with decent pace, and as you mentioned, kind of looked as if he changed it up at the end there and really targeted the stumps and trying to sort of keep it nice and tight into those pads.
I just wonder when the batters saw who was coming on, would they have been a little bit relieved? Pushing back McCarthy's over by 1. Such a proven wicket taker.
Well, this will be an interesting call from the umpire.
I think he's given runs.
There you go.
And now that George Dockrell has seen it was given as runs, he's lamenting Lorcan Tucker's inability to quite reach that. Is that going to down as a drop for you?
Definitely.
Oh, no, never.
Definitely.
Never, Ali. He didn't get there.
You're giving me a bad rep here, is
Yep, you're giving yourself a
he?
bad
Yeah,
rep.
you bet.
There's an appeal, and I think this could
gonna
be
be
out.
given.
It's going to be given. Barry McCarthy, you should have taken the over when it was offered, because George Dockrell into the attack takes the final wicket. Robertson looking to work at leg side just a little bit slower, I think, through the air, and he goes for 1 from 5. And Northern Knights never a happy sight, all out in the 19th over, 123, and it's an underwhelming batting display once more from the Northern Knights.
Yep, he was a little perturbed that his wicketkeeper didn't take the catch the ball before, but brings Robertson on straight. Straight. Not a difficult decision for the umpire there. And yeah, you say it's an underwhelming performance from the Knights again. They've been bowled out yet again. 3 times they've been chasing. They've been bowled out in less than 39 overs in those 3 games, and just 18 and a half or so here now. They've been bowled out again. Just too many wickets for the Northern Knights, really. 123 is the final score. There's your card, and as that would suggest, with just 123 on the board, not much to write home about. Carmichael got off a little bit of a head of steam after the wickets of Sterling and Adair. But when he went to that catch from Tucker, nobody else really got going until Pretorius had a few nice shots. But yeah, nobody really looking as if they were in at any stage, and 123 all out from 18.4 overs.
No real partnerships. Carmichael and Rock came together for 38, but Carmichael was the one getting going there. He was scoring boundaries freely, but once he went, it never looked like getting going. Pretorius hit a few boundaries as well, a few sixes to get some claps from the crowd, but by and large it was not to be for partnerships for the Knights.
And your lightning bowling attack. George Dockrell coming in at the end there with just the 4 deliveries, picking up a wicket. But overall, again, I look at the economy rates on the right. Nobody going for many runs, and that just built pressure. McCarthy up top again was the main tormentor. 3 wickets in his opening 3 overs for just 20. And then David Delaney bowled with decent pace today, 3 for 21. The headline there probably Josh Little coming back into Leinster Lightning colours and picking up 2 wickets, but just the 20 runs, and important that he bowled well at the death as well.
So, can Leinster Lightning make it 6 on the trot, or can Northern Knights pull off an absolutely amazing comeback in the second innings, defending 123 for victory? We'll see how it goes down in just a few moments' time. Join us then.
You need to go and like crack around in the shop or something. I don't think they're not quite popular yet, but any shops really have them.
No. But they seem to be taking off.
Aye.
You're very welcome back to Breedy Cricket Club. I had an underwhelming performance with bat in hand, having won the toss and electing to bat. Northern Knights just kept on losing wickets. I only managed to accumulate 123 and we're all out in the 19th over. So a lot of work to be done. Neil Rock in the wicket-keeping gear. He's throwing the ball to Matthew Humphreys, who'll take the first over. And as usual, Tim Tector and Chris de Freitas opening the batting for Leinster Lightning. It's the type of total you'd be tempted, if you're the boys in blue, to try and knock off about half of it in the power play. And that's kind of how Tim Tector plays anyway, so he's the right man for that job. Paul Sterling and slip. And mentality-wise, I think Northern Knights have to just think one wicket at a time. And I'll be interested to see what the mentality is from Leinster Lightning, because they might be keen for an early evening. I'm Isabel Joyce, Alan McCalmont alongside. Frustration for you as a man from the NCU, I'm sure, to see that batting display.
Yeah, a bit familiar is more the frustration. It's kind of been a running theme. We've talked about all four teams losing wickets, but yeah, bowled out again, all out within 19 overs. Didn't even get to the last over, and seen a bit of a theme. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see the mentality of the Lightning again. They were very pumped up at Stormont last week. And this is the team that's closest to them in the table. And I think they might want to set down a marker again. As you say, Tim Tector plays the only one way. Humphreys up against him. There's your immediate signs from Tector. Nice stop from Adair, prevents the boundary. So yeah, they've won those last 5 games, the Leinster Lightning, all with bonus points. Nothing to suggest they're not going to try and win this game with one as well.
Long off and mid-wicket out in the boundary. They'll look to come back for the second, decide against it. Morgan topping in the deep there. And in one way, I'm always excited to see does one of these guys pop off. Chris de Freitas, the left-hander, particularly impressive against spin. As long as he doesn't run past one early, that's always the danger. He likes to come down very early in a spell. But he's made a 70, 39, 22. Not a huge weight of runs, but always looks in good touch.
Yeah, I've been caught out already in this over with Matthew Humphreys switching his field every ball. Didn't see mid-off had gone back for Tim Tector, so if he does nothing else, he keeps us on the ball, does Matthew Humphreys.
Nice positive movement forward from de Freitas, now off the mark. I have to feel for the Northern Knights bowlers because they'll feel frustration. They just don't have enough to bowl at. Matthew Humphreys, he was standing captain last week. I'm sure he'll be delighted he doesn't have to make the decisions today. That falls back to Neil Rock's lot. Through the gap and chasing to do for Ross Adair. That will run away. The outfield really has quickened up. Opening boundary for Leinster Lightning, and with the minimum of effort from Tim Tector.
Very much so. Minimum of effort, minimum of fuss. Just punches that into the offside. Just evades Ben Collett. And then no chance really for Ross Adair. Slip out already. And worked into the leg side for a single. And that ends that first over. 7 from it. And interesting to hear. Lots of claps for that single from the Leinster Lightning.
That they're clapping every run here. It's as if it's the last few runs as opposed to the first few. I don't know if they're maybe trying to make themselves felt, the Northern Knights, and every run just piling the pain on. Tom Mays will take the second over. Pity he didn't stay in. I think that was really the moment. If he'd managed to stick in with Pretorius at that point in time, they could have maybe got upwards of 140, 150.
Yeah, we wouldn't have been talking about a match-winning sort of partnership, but what you'd have been talking match-saving.
Yeah.
You know, you're sort of looking at, let's get something on the total. And as I'd mentioned at the time, a couple of bowlers were in there, Mays and Pretorius, and part of the conversation might have been like, let's give ourselves something to bowl at here. You know, we don't want to be done for around about 100 here, and they did set up a little bit of a platform, but just that wicket of Mays opened the door again. Nothing really to help out Pretorius, and when he went, yeah, 120 was on the cards. Dave asked me halfway through that innings what was a power score. My reply was, that depends if the Northern Knights can keep their wickets.
Now, the power score doesn't change based on wickets, and the way Tim Tector plays doesn't change based on what he's chasing. Another boundary, just too short, that from Tom Mays. So good. The front foot pull, Tim Tector sends it past mid-on.
Yeah, lovely shot from Tector again. Straight on the back foot with that boundary off the first ball. Yeah, he wants home early, does Tim Tector. It's just picked up off his legs over the boundary. He starts Mays 4 and then 6.
Yes, 2 full on this occasion, and 2 straight as well. Just picks it up with the extra pace of Mays. And again, that was minimum effort for 6 of the Leinster Lightning innings.
The way he's hitting them, he might be disappointed with that, Tim Tector, because not only does he not pick up a boundary, he's at the non-striker's end now.
I hope for the batter's sake that we don't get rain overnight, because the ball's travelling over the outfield so much more quickly this afternoon. He only kind of got half of that, Tim Tector, in a race to the boundary, so it might be a little bit easier scoring tomorrow.
Tector on to 17 already. Off just 7 deliveries. Changing the field, they've got 2 boundary riders on the leg side now. So of course that means, and behind the wicket are both in the circle. Beats Tector just inside the wide line.
Yeah, he's frustrated mainly because all the field is up on the offside. And he is so good at getting that elevation when given width on the offside. Missed out Tim Tector. He was hoping for a second boundary in the over. Oh, the high. Is it too long for Pretorius in the deep? It is. 2 6s. Didn't manage to get the second 4, but he does get the second maximum for the over. An expensive one from Tom Mays, 17 coming from it, and 2 overs gone. Leinster Lightning 25 without loss.
Well, don't think we need to second guess what way Tim Tector's going to chase down 123. Sometimes you can see a batting side go into their shell and just make sure they don't lose any wickets in the power play, don't give the other team any sort of opportunities. Not the way Tim Tector plays. 23 off 9. Putting a dent in this chase already. He started like a house on fire. Christopheridis just the 3 deliveries. Faced off 2 overs. He's happy to stand at the other end.
It's never easy as an opening batter when you're on 1 from 3 and your partner's on 23. Pretorius into the action early. Replaces Humphreys, who generally only bowls 1 first up. Short and wide, and he'll be frustrated there, Christopheridis. His shoulder's just dropping, thinking, oh, everything's coming off for Tim Tector, and I get a short wide one. Find the fielder. Clever, just a thin little edge. That was his first boundary, an intentional edge from Christopheridis. If the bludgeoning's not working, try the deft touch.
Yep, just touches it between the keeper and wide third. Yep, that's nicely run. No danger. Another boundary.
That's encouraged Pretorius rather than frustrated him. He's called Paul Sterling into slip. Run saving operation maybe more than anything else. Wicket comes out, goes into 45.
talked about that last week. Pretty much a single there. If the non-striker's on his way, which Tim Tector is.
It must be great to be batting with someone so quick. He knows that Christopheridis is lightning across the ground, so no danger calling that single through. A rare defensive shot from Tim Tector. I'm just thinking, what was it about that shot, that ball that he's decided now? It was perfect length, perfect line. No width, not creeping onto the leg side. I like that one though. That was creeping down leg, and it's not just creeping over the rope, it's going absolutely miles. Watch out in that playground, because Tim Tector's got sixes on the mind.
Yeah, very much so. And the ball before, exactly where he wanted to put it. This one, absolutely not. Right in the heading arc. Tector doesn't even look at it. Oh, you like to see the ball disappearing over the boundary. Didn't even bother. Knew he'd made a good connection. Come back. Good batting from Tector. Respects the good ball. Dispatches the bad one. Run rate of 12 and over. Chasing 123. And it's 36 without loss for the Leinster Lightning. There's your last week's captain, this week's captain, Humphreys and Neil Rock. Sean Davies, the man tasked with the ball.
Let's have a look around and see, is there anyone who's going to just stem the flow of runs here? Only bowled 2 overs in this game last week, Sean Davey. But 1 for 9, he was easily the best bowler. Underutilised, you'd have to say.
Yeah, just, it's not often you would say this, but it sounds like being a fly on the wall. I'd like to be out there with a stump cam or something, or a stump mic, hearing what the conversations are at the minute.
It starts well. That's where you want to be, Christopheridis. Just tight, slightly outside off stump. If you bowl on the stumps, he can play it into the leg side. He's so good at that. Any kind of width through the offside, great hands through there. But if you bowl in and around 4th stump, as long as it's a good length, you're on the money. Gets tempted into trying to play it into the leg side or trying to get it square. And again, it's a really good start from Sean Davey, over from New Zealand. Yeah, I'd love to know what they're saying out there. Are you thinking the batters or the bowlers?
Oh, definitely the bowlers. I don't think the batters are talking to each other. I think they're pretty set in their plans here. The fielding side, I'd love to be hearing the conversations going on out there at the minute. It's pitching outside leg.
That's one of those, if you've been bowling to the right-handers, you think that's out for all money, and then you remember, whoa, left-hander on strike.
Yep, but you asked for somebody to step up and stem the runs. The thing about it is he's been bowling to Christopheridis, who's got a strike rate in the 70s. Now he's got to bowl to Tim Tector, who's got a strike rate in the 250s.
Yeah, dances down and heaves it.
Some more.
Definitely not the cleanest strike out of the 6s he's hit so far, Tim Tector, but he's sensing an opportunity to pile the pain on Northern Knights, and he's taking it with both hands.
Yeah, as you say, doesn't quite get that one, but he looks down at the ground in semi-disgust. He hasn't absolutely middled that one, but plenty of bat to carry that over for another 6.
Goes deep this time, threads the needle. Gap between extra cover and mid-off bisects the two fielders, 6 and 4.
Yeah, T20 batting on a different level here from Tim Tector right now. Kind of looking in that sort of zone.
Let's change the
Bowlers
field.
sort of say, well, I'm not really sure where I'm going to bowl this.
He's changed the field. Point comes up. Long on goes back. Space over the offside. Gives himself room. And oh, clever thinking. Just checks the shot, Tim Tector. He definitely had over the offside on his mind, but decides against. So 4 overs gone. Leinster Lightning 47 without loss.
Yeah, I just mentioned about good T20 batting. Even that ball is a good piece of batting. He was able to spot that he wasn't there for the shot, so managed to bail out on it just in time. Keeps his wicket, and we've talked about keeping your wicket. Even when you've been caught by the bowler, just keep your wicket.
It's
Plenty of time to back it up.
Slightly easier when you're on 39
A
from
little
14.
bit, a little bit.
You're not searching for the runs, but I absolutely agree with you. He's recognised a couple of times when he's not been in the position to play the shot that he was planning on playing. Matthew Humphries will bowl his second over in the power play. 4 6s and 3 4s for Tim Tector so far. De Freitas on strike. Just the arm ball, I think, from Humphries. De Freitas opting to stay in his ground.
Yeah, just the 13 4s in total for the Knights in their innings, and 4 6s, so Tim Tector's chasing that down within 4 overs.
17 boundaries for the whole team. Gives himself room and finds the gap once more on the offside, making full use of the power play as he's powering towards his half century. Tim Tector he equals his number of 6s with that 4.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. Gives himself the room, and easy to walk past that, but not only does he hit it nicely, picks a gap. 50 partnership up in 4.5 overs.
A 50 opening stand is the stuff dreams are made of in this tournament. There's so many wickets falling and so many inside the power play, but not for the Leinster Lightning. They've been the team that have bucked that trend. Just lost, what did you say, 5 wickets in
Just
the power play?
5, yeah, 5.
I see. Punched into the leg side.
It's not a difficult stretch then to say that they're the team that's winning games on 5 in a row. It's got to be part of it. Has to be. We bang on about this and losing wickets constantly. Yes, you can eventually claw it back, very similar to this morning. Occasionally one guy can come off like a Jake Egan did this morning. But over a period of time, over a tournament like we're watching that here, it's going to catch up with you if you continue to lose wickets in the power play.
It's amazing watching Matthew Humphreys. It's almost like you can see the cogs working. He's turning the ball in his hand, trying to decide, right, what do I think I'm going to bowl this time? Moves mid-wicket out to the boundary. Long on's the other man out. 5 in on the offside. De Freitas uses the feet, launched at leg side. Doesn't have the legs. Good teamwork. Excellent in the deep. 2 men together. One catches it, then the other catches it, and Leinster Lightning do lose a wicket in the power play. They're 6th across the tournament. De Freitas, taking the fielders on the leg side, loses out. 7 from 11 for him. But Tim Tector still at the crease. That's the important part. 7 from 12, obviously. 53 for 1, Leinster Lightning.
Well, if we're going to take one little glimmer of hope, possibly for the Northern Knights today, that's about as good a piece of fielding and teamwork as you're going to see. Practice this constantly. That little excellent little backflip, but not only does he backflip it, he actually gets it up high enough so that Cian Robertson can come around and affect the catch.
I don't know if that foot was over the boundary when he threw it. It's only a split second. And a super slow-mo would be interesting there. The little telltale, just a small thing for me. Why did Cian Robertson turn and throw the ball in so quickly? I think he was worried about the timing of that catch. But was it Morgan Topping took the catch in the deep? He seems comfortable. So, given out, trusting the fielders. I always love when people trust the fielders, I have to say. So still 1 over of the power play. Harry Tector joining his brother Tim out in the middle.
Tom Mays returns. Ball the last over of the power play. One more to Tim Tector. Moves on to 45 from just 19.
I just need to catch up on our graphic there. It's obviously Tom Mays bowling this over. Tim Tector on 45 now. Harry on strike. Just a little bit uppish chance. Adair could pick up and throw, but I reckon Tector was, well, Harry was home safe. Tim definitely was. He was going to the other end. Can we call them by their first names while they're batting together? Is that acceptable?
I just don't like it. I just don't like them batting together. Love watching them together, don't get me wrong, but you kind of always have to throw in Tim and Harry. And
yeah, I'm going first names here.
First names? Okay.
Well, you know who's on strike when that gets launched over the boundary. It's Tim Tector, who brings up his half century with aplomb. It's been entertainment from the very beginning from Tim Tector. He's added almost all the runs for the Leinster Lightning as they look to chase down 124 in quick time. 4 4s, 5 6s, and look at that strike rate, 255. He's going absolutely great guns.
He's hit that one onto the roof of the pavilion here at Brady. Yeah, he watches that one okay. The last 6 he hit didn't really follow it to the boundary, but make sure he follows that one. This is really good batting. It's not just a hit fast, every ball's got to go. Realises that he can pick balls to hit for 4 and 6, but also when there's a good ball or he's not there, keep your wicket intact, knock it around. Really good stuff.
He's been able to counteract whatever plan the bowlers have in the power play. That's been the difference for me. He knows from what's been set up with the field what he's likely to face, and he's got a different option. Square leg out. I'm going to pull you forward of mid-wicket. Fielders out in the offside. I'll back myself to go away to leg side and get it through or over the infield.
Telltale press from Harry Tector. That's cut into the gap. That's going to be another 4. And this keeps getting more and more difficult for the Knights. And power play done. And like I say, not getting any easier for the Northern Knights. That one through the gap, runs away for another boundary.
Ten and over for the power play, chasing 123. This is the only wicket to fall so far. Let's have a quick look at this catch. And oh, we're not going to take a look at it. We're going to take a look at the boundary from Harry Tector. I like this forward press from him. Gets balanced and plays it nice and late through point.
Yeah, Cian Robertson going to come on. The ball from the Mason Road end.
Yeah, very quiet around the pitch. Northern Knights have the wind knocked out of them. Good dynamic footwork from Tim Tector there.
So Harry Tector comes on strike. Let's see, we're just catching up. There it is, obviously. Cian Robertson into the offside again. Work for Pretorius out there, which he does well. There we go, Cian Robertson.
Yeah, outside the power play, so there won't be as many boundaries you'd imagine. I think Tim Tector will still be chasing some. Looks to try and squeeze it between point and third. Much slower there from Robertson. Just goes through the different gears, can go up and down in pace. And I think what's impressive about him is that you can only tell kind of as it's approaching the batter is not much different in the action, the speed that he goes through it. Tim Tector looking to go leg side, follows him nicely. Very good comeback over this from Robertson.
Another dot ball to finish. That's 7 gone. I think this might be a good time for me to take a little break. And let's invite Dave Surra back on.
You go and have a think about that catch, Ali. You can tell me what you think when you come back. A great piece of work, but I think it might have been close. Here's the opportunity. Dave, you can take a look. Tell me, does this foot touch the ground at the same time as the ball gets thrown back? Next step. And oh, he does so well. Yep. Out. I said it the whole time.
Isabel Joyce, now a believer. Just that little bit of magic, a magical moment.
Well, that's why you should trust the fielder, because he can feel when he's let go of the ball and when his foot's touched the ground. So I did say that at least, even if I didn't really believe it was out.
Fielder's always going to go for it, but yeah, you did. I reckon it was Cian Robertson who threw it in. Maybe a slight bit of guilt, wasn't quite sure himself, didn't quite believe, wanted to.
Arm ball from Humphreys. And great power, Kate Carmichael in the deep. Puts every single effort in to try and keep that in, but it just had the power from Harry Tector.
Lovely hands, as always, from Tector through the ball. Puts out the dive. Really got to it, actually, but...
Yeah, I hope he didn't do himself a mischief, because he wasn't in the exact right position you'd want to be. He had to take an extra step, and that could have been nasty.
Exactly.
Good to see he's up and back in position.
It's the last thing the Knights would need right now.
little deft touch.
But it got the Knights a crucial wicket in the power play. Just overheard you guys chatting about the inability to take wickets off the Lightning in the power play. How consistent they've been. Really winning those moments.
That's a good point. They've won the important moments, haven't they, Leinster Lightning? Now, this game hasn't been tight really at any point, but when they have had little niggle moments, little moments where players have seemed to get on top of them, that first game accepted, they found a way to break through with ball and with bat.
But it's almost a sign of how far ahead the Lightning are, really, that we're talking about. Just the ability to get that one wicket off them in the power play, how crucial that might be, but that's all you might be getting. Not much change going in the power play.
Well, you generally want at least one of your opening batters to be going well, and that's what's happened for Leinster Lightning. Tim Tector has been the one that's probably been going slightly better out of the two of them. Harry Tector just ready for that, it felt like. But for the other teams, like the Northern Knights opening pair are having an absolute shocker. So that's two guys who have been generally back in the shed pretty quickly. Munster Reds as well, apart from just one or two occasions.
Yeah, you'd hope at least for one batter maybe to feed off the other. If things aren't quite in sync, then maybe one batter can have their day. Over there, 75 for 1 after 8.
Yeah, just 7 coming from it, 2 from the previous. So outside the power play, no surprise to see the run rate dropping, but required run rate just above 4, so it's not really a worry. For Northern Knights, it's a conundrum. Do you just let this game keep going along the way it is, or do you search for wickets?
You have to really get back into it, but so if the two left armers from either end, Robertson continuing a fantastic little battle, just in that last over, just those changes of pace. So late, I think, as you mentioned, Isabel Joyce.
That one definitely quicker, and I think you could tell there's a bit more effort in that one. But yeah, I think the good thing for the Northern Knights is these two batters won't want any bowler getting right on top of them, so they will take him on. Tim Tector, 54 from 28. He'll want to continue on his merry way. Oh, manages to find that gap. Pretorius makes a valiant effort, but he got himself into a funky position there. Tim Tector had to almost contort to squeeze it past backward point. But such as the form he's in, he sends it for 4.
But they're just looking so confident they can get in funky positions and still manage to get it through. Whereas it just feels like the Knights don't have that belief right at the moment. The top of the order and then another through 8. Just a bit slower there. Signalled wide.
They just crept around the pad for Tim Tector. I'll be glad that didn't turn back and hit his stumps. That would have been a fitting end to such an incredible innings. Oh, that's got... How has that not hit the stumps? Oh my goodness, between those two balls you'd feel if it was anyone in Northern Knights that would have been out. They would have found a way for that
100%.
to hit the stumps. But Tim Tector, when your look is in, it's really in.
Yeah, that's a lovely piece of bowling by Robertson.
The look of Johnny Kennedy there, walking off to the side. He had the ooh face. Flying through the air, Ross Adair. I think I called him Pretorius actually earlier in the over. Pretorius had been in that position the last time Robertson bowled, but it's Ross Adair to his less favoured hand. Stops a certain boundary.
This time gets through to that sweeper on the offside. Yeah, some good bowling from Robertson. In his previous overs, just a little bit of chatter in the ring. It's died a little bit.
I'm just having a look at these these figures from Robertson. He did go for 2 in his first over, didn't he?
Yep, that was it.
Not sure he's 0 for 9 when he's gone for 9 in the over. 10 now. He has gone
To
10
check
in the
that
over,
back.
so a little bit of a strange one. But 9 overs gone, 85 for 1.
The 2 Tectors going along nicely.
All the left arm spinners confusing the scorers, I think, every time they change them up. It's
Scrambled.
a bit of a struggle to see which one it is. Pretorius will come on now. I think he's changed ends. Run rate just below 9.5.
Yeah, so just slowly walking towards this total after that explosive start. But yeah, that's really what you expect
10
outside
in
the
the
power
over.
play.
10 in the over. Come on, Dave. That's
Well-
hardly walking towards it. That's
Well, hardly, yeah.
Harry Tector, a strong shot to the offside. Great anticipation from Carmichael. Yes, a misfield,
Little
but
fumble, little slip.
yeah, manages to keep
Too
it
bad
to
in the
1.
end.
With these two so quick between the wickets, it's just so much pressure to try and keep it to 1 on the boundary. Oh, is it a chance in the deep? No, it doesn't get enough of it to send it to Rossiter. Of course, it's not Humphreys bowling, it's Ruan Pretorius. So
Yeah,
this
something has
isn't-
scrambled everything, I think.
The good thing is the score is right. Just don't pay too much attention to which bowler is bowling when. Sean Davey comes around. It'll just be another single.
You wonder what it's like running with your sibling. Is it slightly better, Isabel Joyce? What's that like?
Yeah, should be better, but what happens if you get a run out is there's no talking in the house for a while. So there's pros and cons.
So conservative running, or
Yeah, I've been sold down the river a couple of times, and the main
Few-
thing is
few
as long as you can-
barbecues.
as long as you can say sorry, it doesn't take too long.
it's the key to so many things in life?
It's a story that is true across anything. It's not just running between the wickets. Blasted wide of long on, and don't bother trying to cut that off, Rossiter. You can hear it from the sound off the bat. That's cracked to the boundary as Tim Tector continues on his merry way.
He absolutely belts this. Races along the turf, and then the ball just bounces back off the wall.
You don't see many people playing that shot. Tim Tector does. Front foot goes forward, and most people would try and punch it into the offside, but he seems to pick up the length nice and early and trust his hands.
Extremely early.
You have to have
So
been
good to
come
watch.
up on a good pitch to play that shot, I think. A little bit wider. Fielder come up on in third, and it's back-to-back boundaries. He rarely scores one without backing it up.
Everything going the way of the Lightning, sorry, at the moment. Absolutely everything. Have a look back at this. Short wide, gets the hands through it. Right through the gap.
You talk about different shots being played to similar balls. That one a little bit fuller and slightly wider. Same front foot press. Totally different area that he's accessed. Everything must go. Is there a chance in the deep? No. All the way into the bank. And the 100 comes up with that 6. 10 over is gone. 102 for 1. As Leinster Lightning continue to pile on the runs.
I'd mentioned the Lightning may be walking towards the total, and I feel like they've heard me somehow, and they've taken offence with my comments, and they're going at it. But yeah, you'd love to be in the Tector backyard where all these shots are being manufactured and honed. Bit of backyard cricket in the Tector household.
Yeah, hopefully they've been teaching that shot to Alice. That would be great. Add
Yeah,
that
there you
to the
go.
locker in the women's game. She's about as tall as him, so no reason why she can't. Robertson continuing, 0 for 10 from his 2. He's been a standout performer with the ball in hand. And wait and see if it manages to creep past Tom Mays. It doesn't.
Wasn't going to let that pass.
Look at that, Tim Tector, 74 out of 102.
Remarkable. To Tom Mays again, but can't stop the single.
I have to wonder if Leinster Lightning had been batting first, where would Tim Tector have ended up? We'll never know, because all they can do is get to 124 and then pull up the stumps. 50 partnership between these two. Tim Tector, unsurprisingly, the heavier scorer in the 2.
Great piece of bowling there by Robertson.
Just 32 balls to get to that 50-run partnership, so not quite just crawling to victory.
No. It's the quickest crawling I've ever seen.
We must practice that in the Tector household as well. There's the slower one. Punched down the ground.
Can't get past the batter there to field it off his own bowling. What did you think of that argy-bargy earlier
I
between
didn't see it.
Josh Little
Very
and Ben
sad.
Callitz?
Trying to get a team for Thursday night. I was focused on that in my break. Down the track, and Harry Tector joining in on the action. Doesn't really get much of it. Sean Davey in the deep, just allows it to come to him.
Always important, making sure you have 11. That's the key thing in cricket.
Yeah, listen, not all of us can get there all the time, but we try our best. Really good from Robertson here. 3rd over, 1 remaining. And he's yet to go for, I know he's only gone for 1 boundary so far with 3 overs. Not for 14 from him. I'm sure he'll close out his spell. He'll hope to close out his spell before the end of play. 11 gone, 106 for 1. Our thanks to Dave Sierra for joining us once more in the commentary position. But Ali McCalmont, you're back with me, and it's looking like it's going to be an early one.
Yeah, I don't mean this to sound bad, is he? But I'm afraid I am back yet. It's been sort of a bit of a men against boys here at the minute. Even just listening to the ball coming off Tim Tector's bat. I've just been standing outside the 10, absolutely pinging off the bat. And just all aspects of the game here. Leinster Lightning just look a cut above in every aspect of the game.
And it's not been just the Tim Tector show throughout or anything like that. Today, yes, 76 out of 106. The rest of the team just contributing 30 along with extras. But there have been plenty of contributors with bat in hand. There's been different people right throughout. Humphrey's back again. Not sure that there was agreement there about whether it should be yes or no. Harry had to give in the end.
Yeah, I think Kane Robertson had tried to anticipate and think that ball was going to his favoured left hand, but actually went to his right.
Well, is this going to go all the way again? It is. Watch out, the man driving past. Ooh, that wasn't far away.
That's pretty close. That's pretty close. Yeah, maybe bring that dog on. Yeah, I think he should probably come on. Do a little bit of fielding.
He's found a comfortable spot there.
So just the 11 now required.
It's almost like Tim Tector's having a competition with how many boundaries he can hit, but Harry Tector getting in on the act now. 24 from 17, not a bad contribution from him either. Flighted and flighted the other way as well. 6 more, 2 6s in the over. It looks like Robertson's not going to get a chance to bowl out because it's going to be all done. If Harry Tector's got anything to say about it this over.
Yeah, just thrown up there and this quality. You can see he knows right, like does Matthew Humphreys. We're down to just 5, so one more similar hit could wrap this up. It's a tighter line, much more like Matthew Humphreys. Yeah, you're mentioning about it's not just the Tim Tector show today, but although he's got 77 on the board, the vast majority of the runs, it's like what Harry Tector's done, what De Freitas did to a lesser extent, but Harry Tector's just knocked it around until those 6s and known that Tim Tector's doing the business at the other end. Keep your wickets in hand. That could be the end of the game here.
Well, they still need 5, so it's not going to be the end.
Not
it's
quite,
come off the bat.
I thought it was a wide. It's off the bat, so yeah, that'll please. Yeah, it is too. Yep, that'll please Harry Tector. There's another 4 to his total, and it's the most insignificant of moments that we're going to continue for another ball, at least.
Yeah, the score is level. They just need to bowl 8 overs of dots at this stage. But nice that Tim Tector will get to close out the game. He's been standing head and shoulders above the rest of the batters today. Even though we saw Jake Egan bat really well earlier, it's been on another level from Tim Tector. Masterful stuff. They won't get through on this occasion. Field, of course, all up, apart from a man, a little bit of a hopeful man in the deep on the leg side, Cade Carmichael, hoping that Tim Tector picks him out.
Yeah, I'm not sure Cade Carmichael can actually come off that boundary. I think he's allowed, so it doesn't matter what the situation is. You just stay out there, Cade.
Finds the gap this time with another boundary. Tim Tector hands victory to the Leinster Lightning, and yeah, there's been the best boy today.
Yeah, I think so. You take that ball home, son.
He gets to keep that because it's not in great nick after Tim Tector had his way with it. 81 from 43 for him, ably assisted by Harry Tector, 34 from 20, and it's been a real drubbing from the Leinster Lightning, winning inside the 13th over by 9 wickets. Northern Knights looking to come back strong, looking to bounce back after they lost against the Leinster Lightning last week. They haven't managed it.
Yeah, you mentioned about last week was a bit of a chastening defeat. This has been even more so. It has really been literal men against boys in all aspects of the game today. Can't really go back over I was about to say 40 overs, but it certainly hasn't been 40 overs. 32 and a bit overs, and think of any time where the Leinster Lightning were in any danger at all in that game.
No, and even when there were slight partnerships, they weren't dangerous partnerships. You weren't thinking this is taking the game in any way away from Leinster Lightning. The two Tectors walking off together, they'll have enjoyed that. Harry pushing Tim forward, saying, "This is your moment." And they've entertained in the sunshine here at Breedy. A really impressive half century and upwards of that, 81 not out.
Yeah, I'm fairly certain that will take Tim Tector up to the top of the charts again. He's won it the last 2 years, the top batter. I'm pretty sure he'll go top of the table again. They're going to go 3 in a row. It's pretty good on your CV or anybody if he picks up 3 in a row. So he's looking for that again. There's your Knights card from earlier on. Lost Sterling in a dare yet again early. Carmichael started to get into his innings, but he was taken after a very good catch from Lorcan Tucker over from Delaney, and then Topping and Callets went cheaply for 4, Neil Rock for 15, and Pretorius put a couple to the boundary, and with his 30, and with Mays it started to turn it around a little bit, but once Mays went, Pretorius followed quickly, and then they were bowled out for 123 off just 18.
Just a couple of partnerships of note, but nothing big enough to cause any problems for Leinster Lightning. Carmichael and Rock, 38. And while Carmichael was in, you felt like he might be the man that did the Stephen Doheny They needed someone to stand tall, but when he went, it was Pretorius and Mays later on who looked to try and build something, but it didn't last long enough. Just 43 for them, 8-5 and 3 for the partnerships, but they were dismissed without using all their overs up.
Again, great use of his bowlers by Lorcan Tucker, able to call on 7 with Dockrell just 0.4 at the end with 1 wicket for 3. But everyone contributing yet again from this Lightning. They've got so many options. McCarthy up top with 3 for 20 in the opening spell. Delaney in the middle order, 3 for 21 for him. 1 for 27 for Hoy with his spin, but let's have a little chat about the guy coming back in there. Josh Little got his 4 overs there, and he took 2 for 20.
Not too many names to mention in the Leinster Lightning lineup. 2 Tectors did most of the heavy lifting. Tim Tector in particular impressive. 81 from him, matching 6s with 4s, just 43 balls. And Harry Tector added some impetus late on, 34 from 20 with late 6s to his name. It took just 12.3 overs to chase it down.
Yeah, nice and easy to talk about this one. Top order partnership opening. Christopher Freitas just 7 of those. Tim Tector dominating that one with 44. Much more even with the 2 Tectors in the second wicket partnership of 74.
Just 5 bowlers used. There were only 12.5 overs bowled. Wicket taker was Humphreys. He finished out his spell 1 for 37. And I thought Robertson bowled really well. 3.3 overs, 0 for 18. But the other bowlers, not great economy rates.
There's your match summary. We build it up as a bit of a big match here today, but it's not really turned out that way. As I mentioned earlier, a little bit of a men against boys, really. Opting to bat first, the Knights decided to change that up and bat first. They were bowled out yet again within their 20 overs, 123. Again, the lightning attack just all over them. And then with the bat, Tim Tector, head and shoulders above everything on show today. 81 not out, supported by Harry Tector. And they have won this game within 13 overs. They continue to be at the top of the table, the Leinster Lightning. We have 2 more days of the festival here in Breedy. We'll start off tomorrow with the Munster Reds against the Northern Knights, which will be followed in the afternoon with the home side, the Northwest Warriors, taking on the Leinster Lightning. Thank you for your company here this afternoon. The winners today were the Northwest Warriors and the Leinster Lightning. We'll be back again tomorrow. Please join us at around 10:45.